Even though Shikshini has it's a funny name. It means the meeting of five mountains.
People call this home.
People stay because they are comfortable with their community, with their churches, their families.
And in this world today, it's hard to find a community where your children can be children.
In 2011, the town of Shikshini was affected by Tropical Storm Lee.
The hardest part for me is seeing the place that I grew up be demolished.
We received a massive amount of rain, and
we were prepared for some water possibly, but
This last flood shook us to our core.
After a disaster, FEMA's long-term community recovery helps communities like Shikshini, Pennsylvania, design a plan for their future recovery. Developing the plan for Shikshini was a 5-step process, not to just rebuild, but to rebuild better. And FEMA's only role is to guide the process.
We're so convenient. There was a drugstore, a bank, we had bowling alleys, car dealerships. There was just everything. And on the weekend, you'd go over town, people standing on the corners. It was just unbelievable. One of your favorite memories of Shikshini, what is it?
In Shikshini, I love it.
She just loves it.
I used to work here when I was 12-year-old.
Oh, really? And we had 3 medical doctors, we had 2 dentists, we had an eye doctor.
Well, there used to be a Shikshini High School here, and I did graduate here.
We walked to school every morning, home for lunch, back to school, home at supper time.
So you don't have to travel 10 miles to go shopping. It's here. If the stores all come back the way they were.
We had a lot of good memories. Yeah. This was a booming town, let me tell you.
From there, we took their values, those values that we heard in their stories that made Shikshini so special and unique, and we're going to use them as the basis for the rest of the planning process.
It really is important to see what grassroots activism really looks like, because that's what's going on here, is you're all taking an active role in making your community better.
This process is all about bringing the entire community together.
Because that is a very key part of the process. It's just in general, where as a community do you want to go? It's about consensus building. It's about bringing the community together, all parts of the community.
This community needs this long-term recovery plan, and they need it because it gives direction. It teaches as it goes on. It gave us so much information that we would not have had prior to. We would be floundering.
In this step, what we did was ask everybody to come together and think big.
Our boundaries are the ones that we impose upon ourselves. This is a vision. The most important step is to listen. You gotta listen to what your people are saying.
Recreational center for families, a camping area and boat launch, what have you.
Community center, housing.
Outdoor recreation was a common theme. Also, we appreciate the trails, the river, the opportunity for campgrounds, have things like a cafe, a music cafe, bakeries, more tourist town type of oriented businesses also. This town needs to focus more on its business and bringing people in. Every business we have open brings more people to the town, which feeds the other businesses. I have been in business in Shikshini for 10 years. This is the first time we've had water in 10 years. We have a lot invested here, and I feel this building is worth keeping in this town, and all the businesses are. I want as many of them as possible to come back.
We need a grocery store.
And we need McDonald's.
McDonald's? Are you going to draw some golden arches? So who's drawing a mall?
A mall would attract businesses like that because it would attract more attention. It needs the businesses.
There would be a subway in the mall.
So you want to bring more people to downtown. That's a good thing.
Yes.
You have to have direction. You have to have a foundation and framework for everybody. And if you don't have that plan, or you don't have that foundation down, and then everybody's trying to grab the wheel to steer the boat.
And finally, we're going to share information. And that's one of the great things about this process is at the end, you'll have lots of information on grants that are available, on partners that can support you, and maybe just things about your town that you didn't know before.
Entire block is going to be gone. So with this entire block gone, that opens up an area where there won't be a house.
After the vision meeting, people broke up into subject areas. We had 6 different working groups that had been meeting on a weekly basis. We had a communications working group, a business development working group, a housing and community facilities working group, a recreation and tourism working group, a regional hub working group, and a youth working group.
It's important that the youth have a voice in what happens here for our community over the next 50 to 100 years. And at that point, I think that's when we really started to push to get the youth involved.
Let me give you these cards.
I think they realize that the youth is what is important. That's the new generation coming up, and they want to see what they're interested in. I feel like our voice is finally being heard, and they're actually taking our ideas into account.
We brought in some artists, we brought in some land use planners, some people with architectural backgrounds to help us do some sketches of what would this look like. And so we brought these people in and they worked with the residents and they were able to come up with some great ideas.
From what you've seen, heard, and know so far in this whole process, what do you think is the most important thing that needs to be dealt with?
I see it right there, the grocery store, the bank, keeping
The services.
things like that, the services for the people in the community.
Right.
Every community deserves the basics, and Shikshini doesn't have any of the basics right now.
After the feedback that we got from the design workshop, we decided to take all of that information and really figure out what projects are going to get us the most bang for our buck.
To the Shikshini Forward Project Fair, the third and last of the workshops sponsored by FEMA and our long-term recovery process.
After months of work, the community narrowed it down to 15 projects.
If you were to pick 3 projects that you think are the highest priority for us to focus on, because there has to be a starting point for us.
That strategy becomes a marketing tool, a really effective marketing tool because it documents the consensus in the community.
So everything here tonight is a work in progress, and we still need your input. We still need your ideas.
It's the type of situation where if you raise your hand and say, why don't we do this? Okay, you're in charge now. Go ahead and do it. That's what we need. We need people who are willing to step forward and take the reins.
People that are working on this long-term recovery are high school graduates of that school building that used to be the Shikshini High School. So you have people there that have a vested interest, not only because it's their past, but because they have children or grandchildren that it's going to be their future.
What happens next? Well, we are soon to have our document, which would be our long-term community recovery plan.
The end result of this process is a plan. Those 15 projects are the basis of what they need in order to recover, to get the ball rolling, to get things started.
In the end, it's going to come down to dollars, and the dollars are going to be the individuals or businesses who see that there is an opportunity here because all this other work has been done. And other people's money is what we need.
Right after the flood, our board got together with our management team. We said, we really need to come to Shikshini. It's a really good opportunity. We just feel we're a local community bank. We deal really good in small communities, and Shikshini fits really good into our footprint.
The financial impact has been really hard. Water here inside the restaurant was 55 inches, so quite a bit of damage was involved. I mean, the scary thing about this is we've lost, 24 homes in Shikshini. So the question really reopening was, is there going to be enough of a community to support the restaurant? But we hope that there is, and we hope that positive changes will take place.
You just don't want to see it lost. There is a lot still here. The mountains and the actual history, and I think there's hope. I really do.
Hopefully we will be able to rebuild with some new things of interest and different types of businesses. It's the one opportunity with being knocked down is you can pick yourself up and start from scratch again. I think it's going to take a long time, and people just need to realize that so they don't become overly discouraged.
In the meantime, we have a plan that we can follow in order to apply for grants, in order to go after maybe some developers. This community didn't die. We got hit hard, and we're coming back.